Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to show you how to reverse engineer this tail light from an STL file using BricsCAD. One of these channel's viewers shared the geometry data with me as a point cloud. It only comes as a single-sided surface with no thickness, basically converted straight from CAD data into STL. You can see the polygonal facing in the corner, which shows this didn't come from 3D scan data. When the file comes in as just a single-sided surface, you can't 3D print it. You will need to fully reverse engineer the model first. The taillight has two cup-style lamps leaning at a set angle, joined to a tray-shaped section with curved 3D edges. Since there aren't any flat surfaces, making this 3D printable becomes pretty challenging. I start by modeling the tray shape with its 3D edges, then add the cups. After that, I'll use basic CAD commands like intersection, union, and subtract to seamlessly join the cups to the tray. I'm not completely sure which side of this taillight faces outward, but I'm guessing the top of the screen is the outer side. The viewer who sent this told me it's a taillight from a Toyota 3000 GT. But I can't really confirm that. I'm not much of a car person. This video will be in a tutorial format where I will walk you through the full workflow to model this part. You'll find the point cloud download link in the description below. I have already made a basic tutorial on how to set up BricsCAD for reverse engineering, so I won't go into those details here. First, I bring in the point cloud. It's the most effective format for reverse engineering since it shows all the wall lines and lets you slice it thin for tracing. Plus, BricsCAD is by far the cheapest CAD tool that can import point cloud directly. Next, I move the point cloud to the origin using the move command. Now I want to align the bottom side to a horizontal line. I do this using the align command by selecting 2 points. I will also align this plane to a horizontal line. This step isn't really necessary since the model doesn't have any flat planes, but I just want to demonstrate how it's done. I have cropped a thin section of the point cloud here to create a sketch profile. Using a 3-point UCS, I set up the sketch plane and began tracing with straight lines. I'm skipping the rounded corners for now since I add fillets later. This makes the modeling process faster. I set the wall thickness to 2 mm for the entire model. Next, I will create a second sketch profile. You need at least 2 sketches to run the loft command. Loft will be the main modeling function I will use throughout this tutorial. Now that we have 2 sketches, I will create a guide rail using a spline. I will start by setting the UCS to the Z-axis and snapping to the 2 ends. Then I drag the spline along the Z-axis in the blue color using 3-point controls. This setup lets me fine-tune the 3D splines easily by moving its control points along the X-axis shown in red and the Y-axis shown in green. But for this model, I hardly have to adjust the control point along Y-axis because they are straight. To model this part, the CAD software must support lofting with 3D guide rails. FreeCAD doesn't have the capability to handle this. Now the sketches and guide rails are ready. I can apply the loft command. You will notice that I copy the sketch profiles because the original ones are consumed after lofting. That's why you need to create a copy for the next loft section. Next, I move on to the third cross-sectional sketch. This cuts through the full tray surface and reveals a slight curvature. I loft this section without using a guide rail since it follows a straight line. Here I'm creating the third loft section. This one requires guide rails because the line follows a curve. You might wonder how I decide how many guide rails are needed. The truth is, you have to experiment. I usually place them on the outer wall corners, but sometimes I need to add one on the inner wall, especially in the tight turns. When adjusting the spline's control points, make sure they are follow the X and Y axis. Just watch the polar tracking guides, the red line for X and the green line for Y. Be sure to turn off a dynamic input. It's less distracting when doing reverse engineering. The software runs much smoother once dynamic input is turned off. Now the loft extends to the end of the tray profile, and it's time to make the turn. Here I create a vertical line and align the UCS along the Z-axis. And then I draw another line at about 45-degree angle to the last cross-section plane. Use the 3-point UCS to align the plane to the ends of these three lines, then crop the point cloud to create the sketch profile. Remember, you can only create 2D sketches on the XY plane. Next, I move the UCS to this cross-section plane and trace the profile using polylines. You can also use the extract edge command if the edges are curved. You can't keep lofting this model straight along its length until the end. You need to make a turn. Here's how I handle it. Keep each sketch profile within about 45 degrees for the next. So for a 90-degree turn, plan on breaking it into at least 2 loft segments. A lot of viewers ask me to model this in BricsCAD, but that's not possible. BricsCAD still can't handle parts with this level of complexity. When creating a new sketch, always make sure at least 2 points of the UCS plane snap onto the connecting cross-section plane. At the turning point, the new loft section must be fully attached to the previous section. That's why I draw a line on this cross-section face and align the UCS Z-axis along it. Drag a line to the angle where you want to create the section plane. Then use the 3-point UCS at the end of the lines to set up the plane. You also need to use the edges of the cross-section as guide rails so the loft sections will seamlessly together. You can also apply this approach in other CAD software such as Autodesk Inventor, Fusion, or SolidWorks. The reason I don't recommend using Fusion for reverse engineering is that it doesn't support point clouds. Now I'm moving to the other end of the tray to build the loft sections for 90-degree corners. You might ask why I don't use surface modeling and then thicken it into a solid. The reason is simple. You will face a very high failure rate with that approach. The thicken surface command just doesn't work reliably on models this complex. This corner segment is quite small, so it requires a few extra guide rails. If I were doing the same loft section in Autodesk Inventor, it would take longer than in BricsCAD. Here it's easier to create sketch planes and 3D lines, but the trade-off is that previously executed commands aren't retained. That's why you should save your files regularly in different versions so you can roll back and edit if something goes wrong. Next, I will fillet the corners with a radius of 2 or 3 mm. You can experiment with this yourself. BricsCAD also offers a variable fillet function, which lets you apply different radius at each end. The fillet function here isn't the strongest. The performance is only average. Next, I'm going to union all the lob sections together. You should only do this after applying the fillet command. Alright, the tray was simple. Now it's time for the real thing. I set up a 3-point UCS on the top edge of the cup, then draw an arc to locate its center. From there, I create 3 circles aligned with the walls of the point cloud. Then I move the outer circle, which defines the base, down to the bottom of the tray, right beneath the lowest surface. Then I copy these 2 circles and place them aside along with their axis. I do the same for the tray because once they are consumed, we will need the copies to continue. Then I offset the upper and lower circles by 2 mm to define the wall thickness. I loft the outer circle first, then loft the inner one using subtraction. This gives me a circular taper wall. I move this back onto the tray and execute the intersection command. This creates the solid shape formed by the overlap between the taper wall and the tray. Then I copy both the taper wall and the tray back into their original position. And next I run the subtract command followed by the split command and erase the lower part of the taper wall. Then I union the subtracted entity with the intersection entity, combining them into one solid. Then I will hide this combined solid for later use. And next I will perform a loft cut on the tray using existing sketch circles. Next I will union the taper wall with the tray. Now they are welded seamlessly. Next I will create a sketch profile for revolving the cup shape. I make sure the sketch overlaps into the taper wall so they weld together correctly. Since I can't fillet the walls between the tray and the taper wall directly, I will create a sketch for sweeping the fillet profiles instead. After that, I union the fillet with the main entity, merging them into a single solid. Here's the second cup, same process. Set up 3-point UCS, locate the circle center, and create 3 circles. In Autodesk Inventor, the workflow is different. I will project the circle directly onto the tray's curved surface, then thicken it and use it to cut into the tray. It's not faster, but it looks a bit less messy. By contrast, the approach using union, subtract, and intersection has been around for over 3 decades. I remember back then my PC only had 8 megabytes of RAM and not gigabytes, and I had to work entirely in a wireframe mode. I learned my first 3D CAD on a software called Euclid. It ran on a Sun Microsystem server and could render faces directly in the viewport. I remember when the engineering faculty purchased it for $2 million to train students. Here's the final result. This tutorial isn't for beginners. The seamless welding of the cups onto the tray is a bit tricky to model. I believe BricsCAD is powerful enough to reverse engineer any shape with a solid modeling speed. Its ability to work directly with point clouds makes it the best value CAD tool for reverse engineering, whether you are using a desktop scanner or a LiDAR scanner. When I export the model as a step file, I can reopen it in FreeCAD without any issue. Even though FreeCAD can model this part, it still opens the step file just fine. When I open this step file in Autodesk Inventor, it loads as a native part file. I can even apply fillets or make a further modification to the models. In AutoCAD, the model opens correctly, though the viewport performance is noticeably slow. In Orca-based Slicer, you can import the step file and adjust the polygon count. For FDM printer, I recommend keeping it under 1 million polygons. This model has 1.7 million faces, yet it looks perfectly smooth with no visible fasting. One important note: to export a step file from BricsCAD, you need the additional communicator add-on. This add-on also enables importing native CAD files from Inventor, SolidWorks, and CATIA. The wall lines generated from CAD are very smooth, unlike when printing directly from image data captured by a 3D scan. This Taillight is best printed in clear resin on an SLA printer. I tested it on the Anycubic P1 Max and it fits perfectly on the build plate. Unfortunately, Shutterbox still has some bugs. It can only import files as STL. Even with the highest resolution setting, the STL file exported from BricsCAD still shows fasting. Although BricsCAD provided me with a free demo license, I never received any commission or compensation from them. In my personal opinion, it's the best CAD tool for reverse engineering at its price point. Thanks you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next video.